Hello and welcome to Don't Ball Me, the place like Ash Custer's. Wow, I screwed that up. We're just rolling with it. Hello, welcome, Miym, not Brandon. Miym, ignore that name. Not Miym though. Hello,
What?
we're talking
Hello.
Daredevil, Born Again, somewhat season 4 of Daredevil, the Netflix series. Somewhat that episode. We did the preview on the show. We talked about how the show is often talked about as a masterpiece, really good, and we got to watch it, the first two episodes, and I have thoughts. Let's start there. Okay, I did want to kind of just run through it, but we'll start with the thoughts. So this whole idea of like Daredevil Born Again, I think me and you are very similar. Excited, but cautiously optimistic. Like, yes, fuck yeah, I want to see Daredevil. I want to see it with a bigger budget. I want Daredevil a part of like the MCU. However, the MCU Phase 4, Phase 5 does not have a good track record. Daredevil in so far in the MCU, She-Hulk was kind of not terrible. It was nice to see. Probably the best part about the show, but left some room to be desired. We have Kingpin and Hawkeye, which kind of the same. Like, cool to see, but like left a lot to be desired. He was also an Echo, which that show just again left a lot to be desired. So this whole idea of this show coming back, it's like, I like it, but I don't know how I feel about it. And then all the reviews came in. Initially, it was the first 2 episodes, really good reviews, and then we got the rest of the series, and people are calling it a masterpiece, which is kind of like, I don't want to expect greatness out of it, but also I want greatness out of it.
Right. It would be nice. It would be a win.
I'm trying to think if this is a question on here. I don't know if... No, it isn't. It's surprisingly not one of my questions. So this is going to be our opener. Did this show, the first 2 episodes, and you just watched it
Right
recently,
before we started this, yep.
right before we started our doubleheader episode, is it living up to your hype?
I think yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's only 2 episodes, so you can't definitely judge the whole thing on that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it starts off with a bang. Like, kicks off right away.
Really does.
And, I mean, I appreciate that. But it definitely has some slower moments. But I get that. I mean, the original, Daredevil wasn't all fast-paced and, stuff happening all the time.
The show kind of was weirdly both.
Yeah, it was like a lot happened, like a lot of cuts and stuff like that, but at the same time, some of it was just like, I don't.
A lot happened, but not a lot happened at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, let's go through what happened. The segment where I tell you what happened. And as always, spoiler warnings.
Yes.
I didn't do that for Invincible.
Well, they know what to expect by now if they're watching.
Yeah, that's fair. All you newcomers? Sorry. All right. Episode 1, Heaven's Half Hour. I don't know what that title reference to. And they didn't reveal their titles, so we can't do our segment. Let's look too much into episode titles.
Chickens.
Very lame.
Cowards. Let us read too much into your episode
Come on.
titles.
All right, in episode 1, a retirement party happens for Cherry. I think a new character, right? Was he in Netflix at all? I don't remember him being.
No, the retiring cop. No.
Yeah, relatively new
I guess
character.
maybe in season 3. After watching this first episode, I'm not sure that I've ever watched season 3.
You should watch season 3.
Yeah. Oh, it's on my list.
You should watch season 3. I really want to watch season 3, but then I watched Severance instead. Also, really good show.
Yeah.
Thank you, Donald, for that recommendation. I don't know if I'll get it done in time. There's a lot going on. All right. those three have a moment. We get like a little bit of nostalgia of the three going back. Foggy is hitting on Kristen. Matt and Karen are being playful. Karen's like, "Hey, you should come back to my place." Matt's like the friend rule.
Yeah.
Then out of nowhere, Foggy gets a weird phone call, and Bullseye attacks. We get the first shot of Daredevil moving through the city, all CGI and all. Bullseye attacks. The first one hit is Foggy Franklin Nelson, or Franklin Foggy Nelson, as Matt is fighting Bullseye in a wonderful one shot of Josie's bar. We hear the voice, or we hear the heartbeat of Foggy slowly fading, and we get this really brilliant fight.
Karen talking, yeah.
Foggy dies. Matt yells a primal rage and then throws Bullseye off the roof in an attempt to kill him. We get 1 year later, and we get the aftermath. Oh, and Cherry learns Matt's secret. Year later, Matt quits. He owns his own firm with Kristen McDuffie. Karen splits for reasons that's somewhat explained, but somewhat not really explained. She lives in San Francisco. Matt is no longer Daredevil. He broke his vow, even though he didn't technically broke his vow, but he intended to break his vow, so he gives up being Daredevil. The whole city is wanting Daredevil or vigilantes to take over. It is a very dangerous place in New York. We learn that Wilson Fisk is back. Vanessa is running his 5 families. She's more or less the kingpin as we speak. Fisk decides to run things smoothly. He runs for mayor. Matt gets set up on a date with a therapist thanks to Kristen. Those two relatively have a good time. Bat is a wonderful bachelor. Always has been, always will be. Matt and Wilson Fisk meet. They make their threats in the diner. They talk about how they're happy to see each other, but they also talk like, hey, if you step out of line, I will be there. I will end you. Fisk also making threats like, if I win as mayor, I will end you.
Yep, if I see you out there as Daredevil. Yeah.
Matt and Heather go on a second date. Wilson Fisk wins. There is a riot celebration in the background, which is very surreal, but also kind of feels like end times, or not end times, maybe end times. It feels like our times.
Yeah.
Fisk and Vanessa are at odds because Vanessa is cheating on Fisk. And I'll be honest, I kind of missed that.
Yeah, I did too until he brought it up later on. And then said something about it.
That is episode 1. Episode 2 is called Optics. This makes kind of somewhat sense.
Yeah,
Hector,
it makes sense.
who we learn later on is White Tiger, stops a mugging. In the middle of this mugging, he ends up fighting 2 guys who are doing the mugging. One trips and dies by falling into a speeding train, and the other arrests him because he's a cop. Surprise. The victim or / witness runs away, and Hector is arrested for killing a cop, even though he didn't kill the cop. Fisk gets to work as mayor. He ignores sanctions, tells the crew to fill up a hole, talks to BB Urich about his lack of support from cops. Police commissioner is about to quit. Fisk more or less threatens him to come back, otherwise he will reveal his infidelity. Matt hears about the beating of Hector. He interferes. He offers to become his lawyer. Cherry finds the suits of Hector being White Tiger, someone who was referenced in episode 1, but we don't get to see a full scene of him. They find the victim, or more or less, they can't find the victim. They can't find the witness until, this isn't really well shown, but Matt somehow hears from the vicinity that they know where he is. He finds the location. He intervenes. The cops then, realizing that, hey, Nikki Torres is gone, who's the name of the victim, and Matt's there. They decide that, hey, we have to kill him.
Yeah.
Or beat the shit out of him. And Matt's like, please don't do this. Please don't make me do this. And Matt fucking does it, and Rip, like, brutally fractures his arm and then throws him with said arm and brutally beats the shit out of both those corrupt cops.
That one guy getting slammed on his head. I mean, I'd be surprised if he's not dead. I mean, and what does he do now? Like, because is that where it ends?
Vanessa and Fisk are seeing Matt's girlfriend as a therapist.
Yep.
And then Matt does like his primal rage again because he's probably coming back, baby.
Yeah. Well, that, and like, he can't just like leave those guys. Like, what happens if he leaves them alive? They know this blind lawyer. I mean, the one guy specifically knows who he is because he's representing the other guy in court.
Well, what do you say? Like, hey, we're going to arrest this dude for reasons, and then the lawyer showed up, and then he beat us up. The blind guy, like.
But, I mean, even if like they're not like telling the world, right? They're still telling, like, all the people in their circle, like whatever conspiracy stuff they have going on.
If they don't have brain damage.
Yeah, if they're not dead or brain damaged, yeah.
Because that fight is brutal. Where do we want to start? Because I do have questions, but I also just want to like just generally talk about this show because I have so many thoughts. Because like one, this is such a weird show, and not weird as in like the show is just weird, like Legion weird or something like that. Call it Legion reference right there. It's been a while since I watched this show. That show is fucking weird.
Yeah, it's a good show, though. I actually really like that show.
It doesn't make sense plot-wise, but it makes sense visually.
Yep.
Or maybe it doesn't. It is a ride.
It makes sense. It fits like comic book vibes. But, all right. Getting sidetracked. Talk about Legion.
Daredevil's such a weird show because, like, it's in this weird spot. It's its own show, but it's not its own show. There's so many things you have to kind of watch to understand the full complexity or the full thing. It's season 4 of Netflix Daredevil, but it's not season 4. It is very similar. There's a lot of nods to the Daredevil series, the Netflix series. It is very much like in spirit of that show, but it's its own thing. There's some writers from that show. We can tell that there's like that mix. You know, like you can tell that there's a blend here, but they're very, very different in terms of like cinematography. Yep. Very, very different. The ear thing where Matt's trying to listen in the Netflix series, we see kind of like the radar, you know, the sense that he gets to see the orange vision and he sees. In this show, we don't get that. We get the ear kind of just through like the world. And it's a weird spot because like I miss kind of what the original show was. And I somewhat wish this show was that. But I also really like that the show is different, but not too different, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, it's kind of uncanny at first when you're watching
it.
Because it's like you're watching Daredevil, but it doesn't feel like Daredevil.
But it does, in a way, feel like Daredevil.
Because it's Daredevil, yeah. It is.
You have the theme that starts out, that opens.
Yeah, it's weird. And the CGI, definitely, there's some times where it's like, you didn't see anything like that. And
but it was kind
better or worse.
But I'll be honest, like, there's moments that I really, really like with the CGI.
I appreciate, like, the swinging around, you know, like the traveling and stuff like that. But there was a couple of times during, like, the fight, I think specifically with Bullseye, when he was on the roof, where it was just like, okay, those are two CGI people fighting. Those already been real people.
Yeah. There's moments where it's like, okay, this looks off. This looks not practical. But most of it, I believe it was practical.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't CGI. You have to CGI some of, like, the visual effects that Bullseye has. It's so weird because, like, just, it's different, but I don't think it's worse different. The pacing's different. The world even looks different. Like the world of this Daredevil looks way different than the Netflix world. And I'll be honest, this world feels a lot more real.
Yeah, but that
Like
also might be because it's like 10 years from when the Netflix show came out.
Well, that and like, but not just that, just like the overview shots.
Yeah.
We don't see like this like orangish color of like dark and like this orangish color. We see New York, and we see it from a very high up view. We see Daredevil move through that. We see it during the daytime. We see a lot during the daytime. Like the colors are a lot more streaking as well. Because like in the Daredevil Netflix series, it's just black. It's dark fighting, right?
Yeah.
Makes sense. It's Daredevil. He's blind. He fits better when it's dark. But in this show, specifically the hallway fight, he's knocking out the lights, right? But you can still see the red. You can still see Bullseye's blue. The colors light up more. And I'll be honest, like to me, like I really enjoyed seeing it. And I'm gonna just segue into our first segment. I have some questions. And maybe this is a no for you, but number one, is this not the ideal opening for a Daredevil show? Is this not like the greatest 15 minutes you probably could like?
I mean, yeah. I mean, aside from a couple of the moments in the fight scenes that kind of stuck out, I think, yeah. I mean, it gets going right away. It gets right into the action. It's right into it. And then just kind of pops us off. It kind of gives you that kind of closure, almost, not really, but in a way to kind of like that story in the beginning, and allows you to start this new story that they're doing now.
And like Bullseye has every opportunity to come back later on, whether it's in season 1 or season 2 or later.
Somehow survives getting thrown off the roof.
He's got a new skeleton.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I really, really like the first 15 minutes. Because to me, I'm like, if you're going to tell me, hey, we're going to get really CGI action, straight up Daredevil, one shot Daredevil versus Bullseye, very close to comic book accurate in the comics. That we have the colors, it's very visually striking. Like, I'm down, I'm in. Like that was a dope 15 minutes. Sapphire she's not watching this with me, but I'm like, you have to watch the first 15 minutes. Just watch it. And she kind of said, like, agreed with the whole, it does look a little bit off. It's a little bit different. But, like, when I'm like, do you realize this is a one shot? They're doing this in one take. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes it so much cooler.
Yeah.
Also, Bullseye's just fun to watch in a fight.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a great Daredevil.
Season 3, though, there are some amazing moments that are awesome. Not so much like this fantastical, but there's some very like really good moments that, just Bullseye Daredevil. I also want to say this too. In season 3, Bullseye was in Daredevil's costume, and Daredevil was in his black suit costume. And they were fighting, and that's how they fought each other in season 3. So coming from that to this show, where season 4 was like a lot of it was, or Daredevil was in his costume, and then Bullseye's in his more traditional black and blue costume. I'm like, oh, they flipped. They more or less flipped from last season, and it's just kind of cool to see the traditional powers. All right, question number 2 is, how cool is Bullseye?
I mean, there's a pretty good when he was like chucking the pool balls around and stuff like that. When he's like fighting those other, I guess, cops.
So fucking brutal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, what is it? Just randomly throws a pool ball at a girl's head? Like, holy
Well, I think they were supposed to be like other cops or something.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, but still, yeah. Just chucking them to like the bounce shot and stuff. Yeah.
But like even like in the stairwell, he stabs the dude. Doesn't stab the lady, but does fucking gut punch her and like throws her down the stairs. I'm like, holy fuck. But like that's Bullseye for you. He is straight up a sociopath. He will randomly go on murder sprees. Yeah. And I love how brutal he was. And he just laughed the entire time at the end. He just laughed. They're like, haha, I am making you suffer. Number 3 is Foggy.
Yeah.
Were they wrong for killing him?
I mean, I'm glad he was in the show at all. Happy that he was there. It is a little unfortunate they kill him off right away, but it definitely it gives you that investment right away.
It does,
like that big emotional hook.
I get why they did it, and especially if the actor wasn't coming back. But I really like Foggy.
Yep.
I think he's just the grounded character that everybody kind of relates to.
I think he somehow got much better looking, more distinguished with age.
He did.
He really looked
it's
like
the
he came
beard.
into his own. Yeah.
It's the beard.
Makes the man.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Yeah, it is the beard. Did trim mine today.
Yeah, I got to shave.
Are they wrong for breaking up the original trio and starting with a new cast of characters?
That's tough. I mean, there's questions about whether or not they would be available and everything. I mean, they got Matt, which is the main thing. I'm glad that they were in it at all. But it does, at the same time, they're trying to launch this as a new show. Because, I mean, they want, obviously there's all the nostalgia there and there's the background stuff, but they can't expect people to go watch this Netflix show from, 10 years ago. And all of the sub things that aren't even technically, or I guess now they are, somewhat canon, but not really canon. So
there's so many.
Yeah, so to take it and kind of separate it from that right away while still paying homage to that, I don't think it's a bad call. Give it its own feet to stand on.
So just based off the comic book runs, I don't think there's a lot of staying power with Karen and Foggy. I think a lot of times they either are killed and they move on, or there's fights. And I think if we're telling a very classic Matt Murdock Daredevil story, we're in vet Matt. What is this, 10 years into his career as Daredevil? How long? It's been a decent time, and so the idea of this is a more tenured Daredevil, this is more tenured Matt. He moves on in the comics. He Karen's the one who dies from Bullseye, not Foggy. And so that I don't mind them doing the switch here, because Bullseye killing him makes perfect sense. It is a Bullseye thing to do. I don't mind breaking him up, but I also wish Karen was a part of it.
You know what I bet, if anything that they would do is plan on moving her into more of the Punisher side, because she's really big in the Punisher show. She's in it a lot and seems to align with him more than Matt anyways, watching the two shows.
Yeah.
So I could see that being and if Punisher does get his own show, I could see her being more of a character in that.
Yeah, and she's in San Francisco. I'm not sure if that's relevant. I'm not too familiar with her character in the comics or Daredevil. I'm recently more recent stories, but yeah,
super familiar.
Is the action worse or better with some CGI?
I think I have to wait till the end once we see all of the action, because one fight scene, I mean, I think overall, the first fight scene was good still. It was very good, even with those little bits. But depending on how much they rely on it in the future and how many more times it takes you out of the moment when you're okay, this is just all CGI, that I think is what's going to depend. Because in my opinion, I think that was one of the best things about the original series, was just the
fights,
practicality, and the fights, and just how real they all felt.
It's
so
better
when
than
you lose
She-Hulk.
that, I'm sure I've seen clips from She-Hulk, and he looks like Spider-Man
a little bit.
Yeah, and we already have Spider-Man. We don't need two Spider-Man.
A man in a spider suit, as
make it the
Wilson Fisk puts it.
Yep.
The one shot is dope, right? That's literally the question. Fisk is back as mayor. Does this work? This is a comic book storyline.
Yeah. I mean, with the I mean, the parallels to our own world kind of tell you that, it works.
I have a thought on this. So I remember the storyline. This I'm pretty sure Devil's Reign. This is Chip Sardasky, Daredevil. I have his Daredevil like right there. There was this comic book run where Wilson Fisk ran for mayor, and he's this criminal that ran for mayor. And I remember it coming out and just being like, "Who would the world actually elect a criminal if he's criminal past is very out there?" And the answer is yes. Yes, our world would. Like, I recognize that question, and I'm like, yep. That's yeah. The parallels are there. It makes sense. It's weird to see. I feel like we need it a little bit. I think we could. I could throw another question. Would you rather have Wilson Fisk in charge or Donald Trump?
That's tough.
It's Wilson Fisk. He's at least competent.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like he does bad things, but it's not necessarily only for his own gain.
Yes. Like, I think Wilson Fisk is more of like, if he was in charge of everything, it's like Lex Luthor. There's a very set way of like how he thinks it should go. But like he wants to improve the world in his image. Whereas like current leadership, I don't think they want to improve the world at all. It's more or less, yeah.
Yep.
Moving on. Fisk meets Matt. We get a dope scene, but I have one, and there's a lot of questions on this, but I had one major question. Why the fuck is not like the press not all over this? Because when they meet, the press is like all over the place. Like, Wilson, talk about this, and this, and then Matt Murdock.
Somehow they're able to sneak away into some diner on
some well-known, and like they talk loudly too in this diner about vigilantes and like stay in your lane. Like, who doesn't like Matt Murdock is a vigilante? Which vigilante is he? He's blind. Which one doesn't have like there's just like this weird like, and like there was a moment where like a fan like knocked on the window, but I'm like, where is everybody? We just had a scene where he's super like this whole crowd, but Matt Murdock just shows up, everybody stays away, and they're like, oh, let's go have a moment together. And no one asks questions. BB Urich isn't like, making a whole like Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk talk. What could they be talking about type of thing?
They do have quite a public past. That's for sure.
They do. So yeah, that was just like one question. I think maybe I can come up with more questions for that scene, but that seems dope. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, it was enjoyable to watch. When they're in a room together, it's always good.
Oh, this is the question that I am enjoying to ask. All right. We already talked about Matt Murdock as a bachelor. And Wilson Fisk is a very dedicated lover to Vanessa. Okay. So this is my question to you, Brandon. Who is better husband material? Matt Murdock or Wilson Fisk?
I mean, purely from the relationship side of things. I mean, aside from the recent I don't know though, like he did put a lot. I mean, just sending her away and being like, yeah, you got to stay away for forever while I serve my time in jail and wait for me, and like all that stuff could be considered pretty selfish.
Yeah,
but at the same time,
Matthew Murdock had 2 girlfriends killed.
Yeah,
well, in the comics.
Yeah, at the same time, I don't think that he's a whole lot better of an option.
Doesn't really tell the truth, often disappears, doesn't even know what you look like.
That's just messed up.
Okay, I feel like a very disabled person. I apologize.
Being an ableist.
Ableist? Is that it? Is that the word?
Yeah.
Okay.
So. Yeah.
Okay. No, Matt Murdock feels like he should be really good husband material, but just historically, he's always a bachelor. And a really good bachelor. Nice guy. But Wilson Fisk and his undying loyalty.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said about it.
Like, he will break interdimensional planes to come get you. And yes, this is across from the Spider-Verse, or not, into the Spider-Verse reference. Vanessa is the reason why he broke the dimension. So,
Okay.
I mean, like, you cannot break that certain, like, that amount of, like, loyalty.
Yeah.
Like,
That's fair.
cheats on him and everything. And he's just like, we're going to therapy. We are doing this. I do not want to lose you. I love you, Vanessa. I really like Vincent D'Onofrio's voice during all of it. Like, I hear him talk in real life, and I see him with, like, a beard, and I'm like, you do not look the same.
No, he seems like a really like nice guy. Yeah, but then once he's out his fist, it's
Shave
just
it,
like
and then-
all burled up and that gruff voice. Yeah, terrifying.
Very terrifying, but also seems like a fun dude to hang out with when he's not doing business.
Yeah.
Is Heather a mole? Or I'll reverse this. Is Wilson Fisk seeing Heather as a therapist? Is this plan or coincidence? And then the second follow-up question, is Heather a mole?
I mean, at first I thought it was a plan, but then once like I saw that Vanessa was there too, it kind of seems like maybe it's more of a coincidence.
Yeah.
I mean, he could know that but they've only like seen each other twice. It's not like they're super serious or anything yet, or like really dating.
Is Fisk reformed? Because in Echo, his trauma was healed through Native American magic.
Okay.
I'm not kidding you. She pressed him, and through her ancestor powers, healed him of his pain. They healed him from his trauma, which surprisingly works for this show.
Okay.
It really does. He comes back. He wants the clean campaign. He does things mostly cleanly.
Then he threatens
extortion.
The sheriff. Yeah.
There is extortion, but he doesn't, threaten death. He just threatens basic political things.
That could have been considered a death threat.
I mean, I guess in a way. I think it's supposed to not be. But I think the question is, like, is he reformed or is he playing a new angle?
I think he could probably be set over the edge. I think he's just.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But like, just like right now, episode 1 and 2, I question it a little bit. Like, is he
like
reformed?
you said, it gives you like the Lex Luthor president vibes, where like once he has the power, he doesn't need to do the bad things to get the power or the money or whatever.
True.
Per se.
New question, but I just thought of this. Vanessa, is there a possibility that she kind of becomes the Kingpin and is like a villain to Fisk and Daredevil?
Oh, sorry. Maybe. I mean, could be kind of interesting. I mean, she seems to be pretty in full control of whatever criminal stuff they seem to have going on. So I guess she already is, in essence, the Kingpin, right?
Daredevil retires for like a second time. Is he the Michael Jordan of superheroes?
I mean, didn't Tony retire a couple times too?
Yeah, that's fair. I guess Spider-Man also has one moment of quitting. I don't know. Just Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock, just seems to quit Daredevil a lot.
Yeah.
Season 3 storyline, now season 4 new show storyline. I mean, it makes sense. Like, you have to have some period, and like the story makes sense. But I just think he's retiring a lot. Another question I have, not a big one, but do subways go through substations at full speed? Because that just seems like a huge risk. Like that train did not stop at all, and it was like there is no guardrails, and that dude just like straight up got ran fuck over,
exploded. Yeah, that's a good question. I guess I've never been to the New York subway systems, but I don't know. Maybe.
From my experience from subways, I guess I was in Korea, Seoul, and yeah, there was no like getting onto the tracks in most stations. Like they closed it off. There was like doors, and it's Seoul. It's more, they're way more advanced than America is in most things. I mean, their public toilets are heated. Just
Yeah.
just saying.
Be nice.
It was very nice, very warm. But yeah, that was just a question I had. I'm like, full speed? Holy shit. Like, that could have been avoided if, you didn't do that.
Yep.
At least stop. Or at least, like, go slow. The cop probably deserved it, but damn.
Yeah, right. A lot of drunk people that stumble on in front of those trains, I'm sure.
Yeah. Are we happy with the outro music? Both episodes.
I didn't listen to it. Yeah, I didn't listen to it for that long.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
But there was like a moment where I did listen to like one of the times, and I'm just like, this is different. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't know if I have an opinion yet.
It's just
the intro music is a lot more important than the outro music.
Yes, I do like the intro music. I'm happy they didn't change that, but it feels weird that the outro music isn't the same as the intro music like Netflix did. It's just like this more hip. It's more new age. I'm like, this. Just, I don't know if it works yet, but I don't hate it. Who is Nicky Torres? The guy on the subway, the victim who ran. I tried to Google him. I didn't find anything.
Yeah.
And like my follow-up question is, what do the cops want with him? Like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah, that's a good. That is the question, right? What is going on? Turns out, dude is White Tiger. Is that just a coincidence? Probably that he got caught up in all this.
Probably.
But it is a pretty typical Daredevil storyline, or like quintessential Daredevil to be defending like a vigilante in court.
Very much so. It is.
Yeah.
It felt like the Netflix show from that episode. Like, oh. We got our law case of the week.
Yep. Or the season.
Yeah, I guess technically it's the season. Maybe I'm thinking of Better Call Saul of like more of an episodic or more arc.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I'm like, I want to know what's happening. I'm like, is this a Fisk thing? Is this a Vanessa thing? It seems like it's probably more of a Vanessa thing. Like, it really feels like she's going to be the villain, like a villain of the show.
Yeah. No, I get that vibe.
Did you catch the Punisher symbol? This isn't even a question.
Yeah, no, I did. I was going to bring that up on the cop's wrist.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little Punisher symbol tattooed on his wrist.
I know that I heard that this was going to be a thing. I think they shown it in the trailer. The idea of like Punisher cops. Does this mean we're getting Punisher next episode? Like, he's coming.
Yep. He's coming. I mean, the sooner the better as far as I'm concerned.
All right. Not episode. Why do I keep calling it episodes? Question 19. Who was the show's final villain?
I mean, right now, if I had to say, I'm going to say Fisk. That being said, I don't think that it's going to go quite that direction. Seems too obvious. There's something else going on. I'm told
the finale in the final showdown is what makes this a masterpiece, and I hope so. We got what? We have Vanessa as a possible villain turn or villain, but probably isn't in the showdown at least. But could be the show's villain. We have Wilson Fisk, who was essentially the villain for season 1, the half villain for season 3. You could argue a moment in season 2. Well, yeah, he was for a moment. And we also have Bullseye, who very much
going. Yeah.
Well, he started this turn for Matt. Like, he started it. So I feel like he, more or less, it seems like he has to show up at the end in full costume form. We also have Muse, who's supposed to be the villain of the show, but didn't show up the first 2 episodes. So it's kind of, who's the villain here? It's a question. It's a mystery. What final showdown do we want to see?
I mean, right now, do the fights get better than like a Bullseye and Daredevil fight? I mean, Daredevil and I
have 5 written out. They're not in order, but the number one I wrote though is the one that I feel like would be pretty fucking cool to see, and we haven't seen it yet. Bullseye versus Punisher.
Yeah. I'd be down.
Like I feel like that would just be a really dope fight.
We haven't Punisher versus anybody that has any sort of kind of like abilities before.
Fisk maybe.
Yeah, I feel like Fisk would be just like in the show he was very strong, but I don't think he was ever like shown to be superhumanly strong.
He is in Hawkeye.
Yeah, well, I've never watched Hawkeye.
Well, you should watch at least that scene because he is very like physically strong and also heals very fast. People are wondering if he has the super soldier in, like serum in him. Like that is like a theory because like he is comic book strong and comic book Fisk is or supernaturally strong.
Yeah, I mean, he fights Spider-Man.
So I also have Daredevil versus Fisk. Obviously, Daredevil versus Bullseye. Punisher versus Fisk. Round 2 would be interesting. And then, of course, Muse versus Daredevil.
Don't know anything about Muse.
I don't either. This look, I missed out on the Muse storyline. I'm aware of Muse, but I didn't like read that aspect of it. Are we happy with the amount of Marvel references?
like happy that there's enough Marvel references or
not
enough. There's too much. Yeah. I think it's okay. I don't need a million references thrown into everything. I appreciated the Spider-Man call out, and the White Tiger thing was more so for
the show.
White Tiger who's in the show. Yeah. I haven't really seen a whole lot. I didn't notice a whole lot of other things.
I made a top 5 list of who I wanted to see.
Okay. I mean, I know the number one.
Wait, you know my number one? Who's my number one?
I mean, Spider-Man.
Okay, yeah.
I want to see. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, my honorable mention is Punisher. I put Duh on it back, like of course Punisher, but like I put honorable mention because like he's in the show. These are the 5. Spider-Man is my number 1. I will say I want Spider-Man to be more a part of the show because my fucking god, he's relevant. Yep. And I kind of hate that they're just like, oh, the man in the spider suit. I'm just like, bitch, no, fucking like show
Spider-Man,
something. Like even if you can't like show Spider-Man, I don't think they contractually can show Spider-Man. I think there's an issue that prevents it. But I'm like, he's so relevant to the story. There needs to be more. I really think that's my big complaint. There needs to be more Spider-Man. Or at least something that ties more of the MCU. I wish I would have at least seen a little bit more of it. But here's my top 5 of who I want to see. Spider-Man's number 1. Jessica Jones is number 2. Hawkeye is number 3. Specifically because he fought Kingpin already. It would be really cool to have like that. And this also could be, I'm blanking on the name, the legacy version of Hawkeye as well. I am really, Kate Bishop. I would be okay with that. Just somebody from there. Oh my, I realized I forgot. Okay, I'm going to put another split person in here. Bucky Barnes and or Captain Marvel or Captain America.
Yeah.
Bucky Barnes is from New York. I think he's a congressman technically after Captain America, the movie. And I wouldn't mind seeing Captain America straight up because like he's kind of like the guy. Like he's probably like the face of heroes right now.
Yeah.
It'd be cool just to see it. The other one is Miss Marvel. I don't know why. It's fine. It would be I just think like her energy is so opposite of Matt Murdock that I just really want to see it team up. Like it would feel like She-Hulk Daredevil in a way. But I feel like it'd be really fun just to her be like, what the fuck are you doing? You just like straight up nearly murdered those dudes. Like her reacting and just be like, ah. And like with, I don't know, it would just be a really fun matchup. I think it'd be fun to watch. I don't need any of these 5 to be in this show, but Spider-Man really feels like he should be here. At least, like he does, like it's like Penguin, the show. I don't know if you watched Penguin yet. You should. It's good. it was weird because the show never mentioned Batman until the very end. And it's a universe with Batman. And it's just like, I get it. I know why they did it. But it really feels like they should have at least mentioned Batman, because they didn't once. They at least mentioned Spider-Man, so good on them for that. But it feels like the story needs, like, where the fuck is Spider-Man? It's like always going to be a question I'm going to ask, because like, he is a hero that's also in this world. It's him and Daredevil. Daredevil's smaller than Spider-Man. You like, and just like the people referencing in the BB Urich report, and I do have another thing to say on that before we move on to ratings. Like, it's just like when people are like, oh, where's Daredevil? It's like, well, I want them to be like, at least there's a spider guy.
Yeah, right.
Like, just like that.
Tell me he's doing something. Yeah, tell me he's doing something. Yeah.
So that's my big complaint of the first 2 episodes. Maybe we get more. I don't think we do. But I do think they're lacking in that. And I think it's just, it feels like a trivial complaint, but it's also a complaint that, like, it takes us out of the world. Like, what is Spider-Man doing? I don't need to know much. I just need to know something.
Right.
So like, just let us know that he's working in New York. He's doing his own thing elsewhere. Same with Batman and in Penguin. Just
acknowledge its existence.
Acknowledge it. It doesn't need to be a big thing. Just acknowledge it. It's not that hard. It really isn't that difficult.
I did see a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, that Sony is maybe selling the rights of Spider-Man back to Marvel.
Okay.
And that would solve a lot of issues, I think.
It would. I did want to say one thing. You're not Donald, so you're not going to get it. In Captain America, they had this exposition part of like using the news to explain everything. And it was so horribly done that the news would just like randomly shout out like no one's watching the news. They're like, oh, this happened. This so and so and so and so and so so this and so that. And it's like, oh, how the fuck do you even know this information? And also, what kind of fucking lazy writing is this to just tell me exposition through a news just randomly?
Yep.
And then I look at Daredevil Born Again, who uses BB, Ben Urich's niece, I believe.
Yep.
And she randomly does this throughout the show. But I feel like this is so much better because it's like giving you people's thoughts. It gives you
like context on the world. It's not dumping exposition. It's giving you more like a fleshed out idea.
New York
is what's going on. Yeah.
This is more like New York as a character. Hell's Kitchen is a character itself. And I just wanted to highlight that. I'm like, this is really good usage of sharing information, sharing thoughts, sharing feelings through news in a very thoughtful way that expands everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'm watching Captain America Brand New World. I'm like, that is just shit writing. Lazy shit writing. All right. Ratings. Where are you feeling?
First 2 episodes, like, combined?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd probably give it a 4. I'm intrigued enough. You know, I'm curious enough to see where the story's going.
I'm at 4+.
Yeah,
I'm in. I like it. I'm enjoying it. It's different. I have concerns. I have criticisms. I think like the pacing is different. It's faster, but I don't know if it's a detriment. I think it's different. I think there's aspects of the Netflix series that I like more, but I also feel like this is like a high budget Daredevil that I asked for. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, the first 15 minutes is a 5 for me. I mean, maybe 5- because there's some moments where I'm like, it doesn't look great. But yeah, I don't know. I'm at 4+.
Yep.
All right, MVC.
I mean,
ooh,
you want to do them separately, or there's really only one character that gets
I'm breaking rules.
Okay.
Foggy's my first one. Rest in peace, Foggy. You get a freebie. They killed you off too soon.
It was like 5 minutes.
He's the best character. Like, just the most handsome, Like, arguably, he looked better than, Charlie Cox, Matt Murdock there. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, he looked really good. He died very well. Very well acted. Yep. He's the reason why the story... Yeah, I know. It should be Matt Murdock, but I just want to give... I want to give Foggy Nelson his due. Rest in peace, Foggy. Like, you deserve better. But this is a Daredevil show. You were going to be miserable from the starts. I'm sorry. That's a Daredevil thing. Karen Page is going to die too or be miserable too. It's just how it goes. Yeah, and in episode 2, I also have Matt.
Yeah. It's just not anybody else.
Punisher might come. I feel like Punisher's going to steal a couple.
Yeah, I think he might. He has the potential. But...
MVV. I think episode 2... Yeah.
And then Kingpin in episode 2.
Fisk.
Yeah. I mean,
Wilson
that's in the
Fisk.
diner. Yeah. Kingpin.
Oh, I just realized there was one moment, and I wrote a note on it in my phone. When Wilson Fisk was announced that he won, one of the first shots was a mural of 2 different Fisk. One being Prison Fisk shedding the skin to Mayor Fisk. And in the background, it had Kingpin, but it was just King, and the P went down. Like, there was like a P sign that went down. It's like the city below it. What's really interesting, and this is what I know from the comics, is that graffiti is a thing for him. And so my first thought was, is this Muse? Is this us seeing Muse? Is this teasing? And is this Muse attacking Kingpin? Because I think I don't know much about him. I know that he's interesting. I know that people are excited about him who've read that comic book arc. I have not. Devil's Reign, which I think this is where this ultimately goes, which is Fisk being mayor and then ultimately being like, no more superheroes, and there's a whole thing. Also, Bullseye goes fucking berserk in that Devil's Reign.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I don't know. I just, it's something that I wanted to mention.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's good to point out. Daredevil,
Born Again, episodes 1 and 2, Heaven's Half Hour, and Optics. It's a good ride. I'm excited.
Yes.
A lot to talk about. Next week, we're doing our last doubleheader for a little bit. Actually, yeah. Invincible season 3 finale, and then Daredevil, Born Again, episode 3. Miym, thank you. This is your host, Jake Sherbing, signing off.